Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you today? I trust you. I hope you are well and good and whole. And this blustery Thursday morning, it's blowing through the night. I hear pings here and there of people losing power and the like. So I hope you're well and good. That this morning, this first day of December. December, it seems, is coming in like a lion. How about that? Hi, Vicky. Good to see you this morning. Hope you're well. But pray you're doing okay, everybody. That there's some goodness in your days. Karen, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Hello, everybody. Glad to see you. Good to see everyone this morning. Hello, hello. Glad you're coming in. Hope it's a good morning on this Thursday. See a couple more folks coming along, and I know, right? I don't know. It's Thursday. People get busy. It's a thing that happens. Good morning, everybody. All right. Let's get going on the first day of this month. Welcome, everybody. It is the first day of December on this Thursday at 11:11, and I am glad you're here. I'm glad you're a part of this journey, and I am joyful to continue the journey with you today. I want to talk today about a psalm. It's the 46th Psalm of David, because I think it has some things to offer us about how we kind of find our way in the midst of crisis, or the midst of difficulty, or the midst of anxiety, and I think. And it's really kind of taking and unpacking this that can be a help to us, I think. So I want to just start out this morning by reading a little bit of the 46th Psalm of David. Now, if you remember, the Psalms are in fact songs, and all we have are the song lyrics that are. That we're reading, and so it is missing something. And in fact, the many traditions, Christian traditions, have found the singing of the Psalms again and again. They've returned to it again and again, so there are musical notes in many of them, and the 46th Psalm is one of them. So it starts out this way. It says, "For the director of music of the sons of Korah, according to Alamoth, a song." Now, here's the fun thing about that. We really have no idea what any of that means. Scholars will debate. Some people think Alamoth is kind of a musical direction, that it's this way of that, it's a high-pitched musical direction. Some people think that, like, so this is supposed to be this psalm is supposed to be sung by the sopranos. I don't know, but the sopranos, the high-pitched people in the choir, not the Italian guys, like that, not that. No. So anyway, it's of the sons of Korah. Now, that's what kind of begins our journey with this psalm, around the sons of Korah, because so when reaching back from David's time to the sons of Korah is actually fairly traumatic. Like it's a bad piece of family history, because the sons of Korah are the folks that end up getting swallowed up by the earth. That literally their whole they end up being destroyed for opposing Moses. And then even later on, they end up uh, they end up uh, that in even more trouble, if you can get in more trouble than that. But that there's this that just they just come to a bad end, and so that it's already coming out of this place of written by the sons of Korah, this backstory of Korah, that the sons of Korah, that tells us they were destroyed, swallowed up by the for not being a team player with Moses. And so, given that, it starts this way: God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Do you see it? Do you see the tension already created? My great grandpappy just got swallowed up by the earth because he disobeyed Moses, God's guy, and now God is our refuge and our strength in ever-present help in trouble. I think when you read this, these are both present at the same moment. Our ability to stand in a place where we are completely feeling like we're going to be swallowed up, feeling like everything is against us, feeling like the believing in fact, not just feeling like, but believing in fact that we are outside of the kin of God, and that there's just this big monster coming to swallow us up, that the whole earth is shaking, that everything is against us. And at the same time, the knowledge of our heart, the deep wisdom that lies within us that says, our God is our refuge and our strength and ever-present help in trouble. And so, so I just want us to hold us in this place, because I think this is a place a lot of times, a lot of us find ourselves in these places right these days. We find ourselves in this, how are we going to pay for gas that's this, or heating oil that's this much? How are we going to contend with the world and its elements that are seeking to destroy us? How are we going to deal with all this? And at the same time, we want and we desire, even in our hearts being, we know that God is our refuge and our strength. That it's not God that's set against us. That it is actually our and that there's this tension of anxiety in which we're dwelling in. And we've all got some of it. I don't care how well your larder is packed right now. I think that it's just part of the zeitgeist of the world. There's this I think I mention it all the time, the two great spirits of our age, fear and despair. And that when these anxiety things kind of creep around, and we're held in the tension of it. This is what the 46th Psalm of David is contending with. And so, therefore, given that we're in this place, therefore, and God is our refuge and our strength, we will not fear though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, like my great-grandpappy that got swallowed up by the earth. Though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging, with their earthquakes, there is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. Nations are in uproar. Kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice. The earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done. The desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes the wars to cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will exalt among the nations. I will exalt in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Gosh, it's beautiful. Is it not just lovely in all of its images? But notice that there's one place in this where he says, this is the word of God. All of what David is doing in this psalm, what is this tension of the sons of Korah and the dwelling in the place of the Most High, this tension that we feel in our own hearts and our own being, this tension that lives in our own minds where we know that things are going to be okay, but we don't know how things are going to be okay. And then maybe even some on our worst days, we don't know that things are even going to be okay. But all of that's mixed up in the midst of the earth melting, in the midst of the mountains quaking, in the midst of the seas roaring, in the midst of the wars that are going on, the bow and the spear and the chariot, the tank of the day, the tanks will be on fire, that all of the warring elements will be broken. These are the words that God says into that. And this is where I want to get us today, that we're going to talk about. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted among the earth. This little phrase tells us one thing. The calm comes first. Hear that again. The calm comes first. If we want to place ourselves, if we want to invite in this spirit of being in the refuge of God, being the ever-present help in trouble, there's one direction in this whole thing. All the rest of this is description. This is what's going on. We will not fear. Where the mountains are at the heart of the sea. The world's upside down. The nations are roaring. The kingdoms are falling. Cats and dogs laying down together. Be still. It all starts with our calmness. Now, there's nothing more ridiculous in the world than saying, and it's like a scene out of the movie Airplane, right? Where the woman becomes hysterical and just starts screaming because the plane is crashing. And then there's a long line of people form and say, I'll take care of this. I'll take care of this. And then, different ways of kind of slapping her back into sanity. This kind of and which I think is just it's not only hilarious, it's a beautiful image of how we try and treat our own anxiety so often. We'll just beat it down into submission. That we'll just or maybe kind of just Marge Simpson it. Just push it down, Lisa. Just push it down. That there are these different ways that we try to contend with it. And yet, in the midst of it, none of that really works. There's nothing more useless than to say somebody who's anxious will just stop being anxious, right? And in fact, that's probably the single thing that creates more anxiety. And yet, this invitation to be still is this invitation to step into all of the life of refuge in God. And we see it everywhere in the Bible. We see it everywhere in life, really. That we're consistently that it's calmness that brings about goodness, that brings about the next good thing, an important thing that needs to happen. I remember seeing an operating room once where there was a surgeon, and the team was working on a 12-year-old girl, lovely little girl, and she was really seriously hurt. and the everybody in the room was just had their hearts out and caring for this, and that the level of their skill was beginning to degrade because everybody was getting emotional and excited, and the surgeon was there, simply stopped everything and said, "Hey everybody, let's remember it's her emergency." And it changed the atmosphere of the room like that. That everybody was back to the task at hand. Because why? It called them back to their own calm. It called them back to their own task at hand. It called them back not to the waters and the foaming and the raging that was going around them, not on the wounded little girl on the table that their hearts were pouring out over, that not on the falling, but to the greater city, the greater city of God. It really called them to that, to this idea of why they were I mean, the whole thing was present right there. Like, why were they in medicine to begin with? Why they snapped, the whole team, and just snapped right back into one of the most professional little bunch of groups you ever saw, trying to save that girl's life and to help her, all because of the fact that there was this moment of be still. Hey, let's remember it's her emergency. Let's remember that the emergency is out there and not in here. Which I think is one of the most important and most beginning things we can do when we're contending with this. When we're contending with our anxieties, when we're contending with our stuff, is to remember that the emergencies are outside of us. That we, our souls, our hearts, our bodies, are the dwelling place of the Most High. We're the ones that are called into the world to make chaos bend to the world and bend to the order of God. And that we're part of that. We're a part of the counsel of God that makes that happen. Again, I have a night on my wall. I have another night over here. Because that period of time in which the medieval night was a part of the world was this time in which the chaos was rampant throughout the world. There truly was no order in the world outside of it, and that it took orderly men to begin to exert themselves upon the world that restored a sense of that order, and that the way in which they balanced that, they were not just brutes, and nor were they just kind of hiding in the bottom of the castle, waiting for the monster to come, hoping the monster would eat them last. They were in the world, but they actually brought the self-possession of God into the world with them. That whole modality, I think, is what called us to today, and this remembering that it begins with being still. If we look at the creation story, the waters are separated, the cows and the creeping things and all the things are created, and on the sixth day and on the seventh day, God is still and sees that the creation is very good. Not just good, sees that the creation is very good for the first time. And it is because when God is still that the creation is complete. That it all begins with the calm. It all begins with the stillness. And I understand that I'm at this point where I might sound like somebody just saying to someone, if you're struggling with anxiety and you've got that on board, of saying, well, just don't be anxious anymore. But that I'm really trying to push us beyond that and invite the fact that understanding that even if you're filled with anxiety, even at this second, in this moment, there's a way that like every storm does not endure forever, and that when the storm ends, like Noah on the waters, when the flood ends, it begins with calm. Now they're not even off the boat yet. Just like the creation hasn't even started yet. Like just like here, the Lord has mastery over all these things, and yet we have still, I will be God's continued call. Be still and know that I am God, and that I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted among the earth. So get how that goes. Be still, know that I am God, will be exalted among the nations, be exalted among the earth. It is this. Ogres are like onions. It is this layered approach to God's grace pouring into the world. It's the layers approach to God's grace in us. Be still. That it all begins with the calm. Even though we have this incredible history of the world getting blown up, we have this incredible history of things not going right. Maybe we have this incredible history, like the sons of Korah, of disloyalty. Maybe we've screwed it up. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. That this moment is filled with all of the calm and the grace and the peace that God brings us to. Because the true reality is that all of the crazy, all of the awful, all of the crumbling mountains and the roaring seas, all of the nations and the gnashing and the weeping are not here. And they're not here. They're out there. That at the center of this kingdom is the city of God. At the center of this temple lives the Most High. At the center of all this, God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. That is the promise of being still. Now, again, if you look at the creation story, we've got about 1/6 of that, right? Like all the other days, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and then one day is the day of rest in which the creation becomes complete. So if we're lucky, we get 1 out of 7 in terms of the things that we worry about. If we can get 1 minute out of 7 minutes versus 6 minutes of worrying or gnashing or that's maybe as good as it gets. This is not about setting ourselves on high and saying, oh, we are so holy that we just aren't touched by the things of the world. It's not that. But it's actually in the midst of the things of the world, it's in the midst of the breaking of all these things that we steal these little moments of being still. It's honestly, it's one of the reasons I love coffee so much. And I know it might sound ridiculous, but coffee for me is this little totem of, I can make a cup of coffee and I can sit with a warmth and I can hold it, and that first sip allows me to be still for 6 seconds. Wow. 36 other seconds, maybe I'm off to the races. Friends, be still. Understand that it starts with calm. And just as a caveat and a note to that doesn't always mean it starts with escape. Like sometimes escape can be helpful, but we can all get calm through, a bunch of good chemical means or whatever, and we can do a lot of heroin and we can be calm. But this is a real calling to the attention of the moment. This is a calling to the attention of our lives. This is a calling to the attention of a being, and simply being in it and discovering that all those things that seem to plague us on the inside of our hearts, or the panic that might overtake us in our minds, or the worry, or the difficulty, and all of it, at the heart and at the center, be still. because it all starts with calm. It all starts with the calm. One tool. This is basic calm 101 kind of thing. 3 big breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth will help you find a moment of calm wherever you are. And if that little tool, that little physical thing that you can do, because here's the thing, that little physical thing that you can do is actually inside of you an invitation to the peace and the grace that dwells within you, the stream of the rivers of the water of life to come flowing out, because you're making space for it, because you're inviting it forward. That the holy place where the Most High dwells to come out into the wider parts of your being, to surrender yourself up to it and to offer it up. And to maybe even say in it the Jesus prayer if you choose. Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. These are all tools. They're technique, and it's not about technique. It's not about, in fact, it's the opposite of technique. It's not about getting it right. It's not about doing the right things. But it is about finding your way to be still at any given moment. And understanding that from that, not from like the blissed out, zened out place on the mountaintop where we've retreated to, but in the midst of the fray, in the midst of the struggle, in the midst of a history of brokenness and trouble, in the midst of a war raging around us, in the midst of fear and mountains that fall down and seas that rise up, in the midst of it all, letting the streams of the water of life from the city of God that dwells in our being to flow forth into our hearts and our consciousness and our bodies and our world. That's the invitation of the 46th Psalm. Friends, I hope you find this. I hope you find this. This is this worthwhile this morning. We are excited for this weekend. We are continuing our series. We are on a 4-part series about the Advent journey and the Advent story, and so we are going to talk about the enfleshment of God, the Jesus con carne, that is or Espiritu con carne, that is what it is for God to come into the world on Sunday. We're also going to be hanging the greens, so we're going to be transforming our sanctuary. We have communion. We have some incredible music. I hope you'll join us, whether here on Facebook Live or on our website, which is actually a better picture and better audio, or come to 282 Rock Street. It's beautiful. It's awesome. It's a wonderful journey. And it will help you be still in the face of the waters that roar and the mountains that fall. Until then, friends, we will pick it up next week with another 11:11. Peace and grace, my friends.